The U-bound feels especially cramped on your ride back to the cruise bazaar. In your mind's eye, you can still see the carnage that you left behind at the AG Chemi building. Memories replay themselves over and over in your mind, fleeting visions of a hulking thing made of muscle and chrome. You put them aside, shelve them for later. The job is over, it's time to collect your pay. Your PDA rings and the face of your fixer, Paul Amsel, appears on screen. I have uncovered some terrible information. The team is assembled in the safe house. Please meet with us there when you're able. Alright, does anyone have anything to say to me? How's Alexander? Nope. Do you have anything to say? No. Oh, what's this? Oh, the Pacific Center. It's cute. Hi guys. Bye guys. I don't actually want to deal with you right now. The jobs directory, claim payment. A few minutes later, a message pops onto the screen. To call your work unsatisfactory would be an understatement. When I said we wanted the prototype, it should have gone without saying we wanted it intact and operational. You technically fulfilled the terms of our arrangement, so you get paid, but don't ever expect to work for us again. That's fine. Yeah. Yeah. Let's see what the Shadowrun has to say. Please help me find my daughter. Please help me find my daughter. She ran away from home. She's human, in her early 20s with short blonde hair and a data jack. She was last seen wearing a light blue dress. This is not exactly the place to be looking for missing kids. How did you even get in here? I paid good money to get on here. I was told you people could help. If you have got the new yen, you came to the right place. I sent you a number that you can reach me at. The old help me find my missing kid routine, a classic. My money is on escaped wage slave. Make sure you do your homework, Ruby. Corp tracers. Anyone have a good backup plan for when you get stuck with a tracer? Barely managed to bug out of my apartment after a corp hit squad came knocking. Lesson learned, pat yourself down a couple times and make sure you don't have a tail. But if I miss something, I'd rather keep my safe houses, you know, safe. I've had good luck with RF blockers. I have a jamming grid set up near my safe house. It projects any signals to a few miles away where I've got some cameras placed. So when someone shows up there, I know they were trying to find me. Then I do a thorough sweep to find the tracker. Sharp. How long does it go on before they give up? Usually rule of threes. I keep reprojecting the signal to different locations. In my experience, to give up after the first one is a dead end and stop listening to that RF signal. Claim data. Sold. Yay. God, you get barely anything. Give me money. New messages. The screen flickers to left and Mallet's face appears. She wears a plastic smile. Hi again, Afer. Well, I've recovered one last DVD for you, but I'm afraid that's all you're gonna get. You might as well use the rest as coasters. They're all beyond repair. If you look on the table beside the DVD, you'll find the disc that I salvaged. She pauses. A slight frown crosses her face. To be completely honest, that was a lie. To recover this last disc, I was forced to subcontract. Shroddy is still a brute of a man. I am unimpressed with his manner and his poor hygiene disgusts me, but he is very good with old things such as this. All credit when it's due. The message ends and the image fades. You find yourself look back at your inbox. Phone booth. Here we go. Karma gained. Neon received 1,000. That's barely anything. She grins at you, all spark and mischief. Hey there, how you been? Not so good. Oh no, listen, I gotta do something right now, but come later and we'll chat over coffee, okay? Be well. Boop. What's up, dude? My organization is displeased with your performance. AG Chemie our progress. It would have been very easy for you to make some extra money by doing what we asked of you. Now you have no business. No. Look, I would have, but the thing exploded itself, and it wasn't because of me. Found this liquor in my travel. Worth anything? Not quite. I received cases of this for less discerning clientele. I could offer you maybe 10 new yen. Sure. If I had the socialite thing, I probably could have gotten that like a better thing in that job, but alas. Let's watch the DVDs because I don't care. Play track 1. This is it, the interview. Took some digging to find it, but here he is, my big brother, back in his prime. The note disappears, and for a moment the screen goes blank. Suddenly, image of a news correspondent flashes onto the screen, accompanied by a brief orchestral flourish. Oh, hey, 2012. Remember that was supposed to when the world was supposed to end? Thank you for joining us. We are coming to you live from the ruins of Sangerhausen, the 5th Harz mountain town to be sacked by the Dragon Feuerschwinge. Standing by my side is the head of Dale Defense, Dr. Adrian Vauclair. Dr. Vauclair has been hailed as a leader in the effort to bring down Firewing and end a reign of terror. Dr. Vauclair, tell us about your efforts to bring down the dragon. Killing the monster has proven difficult, to say the least. Her speed and maneuverability in the air are extraordinary, her scales repel small arms fire, and her breath can melt steel. Our R&D teams have been working around the clock to devise a weapon capable of downing the beast. In the interim, we are providing material support for the Luftwaffe's attempt to shoot her down via conventional means. Herr Vauclair, why are you directing Dale's defense energies to the killing of Firewing? Are there corporate interests in at play at this? Corporate interests? No, this is a matter of human interest. Innocent lives are being extinguished at an appalling rate. I am in a position to put an end to the slaughter, and so I must. It really is that simple. Dr. Vauclair, you must understand my skepticism. Our viewers aren't looking for a PR statement. They came to us for the truth. I'm afraid that I don't have time to go back and forth on this. Your viewers can think whatever they wish. My concern is helping the people affected by this tragedy. In that case, Dr. Vauclair, thank you for sharing your valuable time with us. You're very welcome. To the viewers at home, stay safe and watch the skies. Salvation is coming, I promise. Again, that was Dr. Adrian Vauclair, CEO of Dale Defense. Dr. Vauclair is the chief architect of the military's current plan to bring down the Dragon Feuerschwinge. Stay tuned for more late-breaking news on the battle for the Harz Mountains. We'll be right back. Track 2. Holy shit, I just stumbled onto some of Adrian's old lab notes. Ooh. I'm not going to say how I came across these. Someone might get hurt if the wrong person watches this, but I've checked them against some of Adrian's old handwriting samples and they're legitimate. Holy shit, this is big. Alright, okay. Backed up, slow down, breathe. He takes a moment to calm himself. Okay, so these notes, they pretty much confirm something that I've always suspected. The Luftwaffe didn't shoot down Feuerschwinge. I need to just remember that it means Firewing and just say that, because I'm just embarrassing myself trying to say that name. I mean, they tried. They pumped thousands of rounds into the air around her and they lobbed rockets at her for months. Lost a lot of attacked helicopters and fighter craft in the process. But none of these things were responsible for taking her down. The Dragonfall was caused by an experimental warhead, one that Adrian and his Dale Defense think tank designed. I don't understand the science of it, not even a little bit, but from what I can piece together, it looks like they designed some sort of chemical or radiological agent that acts on the metagene. I don't think that they fully understood what they were doing. It was 2012 after all. I mean, the process worked, but I don't know to understand why it worked. Anyway, when a warhead full of this stuff comes into contact with a dual-natured creature, like a dragon, say, it drives a wedge between the creature's physical and astral forms. The body gets put into sort of hibernation state, and the spirit is forced out. It also looks like this process can maintain that state of separation indefinitely, and that's a pretty horrifying thought. A discorporated body's supposed to die in a few hours. I've heard horror stories about ghost-walking mages getting trapped in the astral space, unable to rejoin with their meat. I heard they went crazy from the pain. If what I'm reading is accurate, it's entirely possible that Firewing has been trapped outside of her body for over 40 years. Winter pushes his chair back and slaps the table in front of him. This is why Adrian was always so cagey about the subject of Firewing and the Dragonfall. He knew for a fact that she was alive, even if only technically. Her body crashed down into the sock, sure, but she wasn't dead. The government wouldn't let Adrian tell the public about any of this, of course. It did interfere with the lie that they were feeding us, that the Firewing was dead and that everyone was safe, and that people should stop hiding in their basements and get back to work again. But privately, he always said that she was still out there, somewhere deep in the socks. I'd always thought that he was paranoid, but I was wrong. He knew. So what does all of this mean? It means that the stories I got from the ghost rat suddenly sound a lot more plausible. It means that Firewing is definitely alive and that Adrian's disappearance is unquestionably tied to her survival. It also means that Germany is in deep shit. Because if Firewing is still alive, it's only a matter of time before she rears her ugly head again. Okay, that's enough for one night. I'm gonna go get drunk. He looks younger than you've ever seen him, but the way he's carrying himself, he's clearly drunk. Look, Adrian, I understand you. Lord knows I do, but you've got to drop this dragon fixation. People are starting to talk. There's a camera cut, and you find yourself looking at a young, handsome Dr. Adrian Vauclair. He wears a slight smile on his face. Oh, they're talking, are they? What a terrible shame. Damn it, Adrian, this is serious. You're a public figure. You could lose everything if you don't keep those ridiculous fairy tales to yourself. Hermie, my theories are not, as you call them, fairy tales. Dragons are real. I saved Germany from one. Have you forgotten? No, of course not. Everyone knows that you killed the Firewing. Stopped, not killed. Fine, stopped, whatever. Winter swipes a bottle off the table in front of him, drains it, and drops it to the floor. Call it whatever you want. But Adrian, you're the only one who's still this obsessed with the damn things. There aren't that many of them, and they're not taking over the world. Vauclair's voice is quiet, soft. Such is the cry of the cancer patient, unaware of what's killing him. I'm fine, not to worry. I'll smoke another cigarette. What's the harm? He doesn't see what's happening, but he winds up dead all the same. Winter snorts. Now you're just being maudlin. Look, Adrian. Vauclair shakes his head. His smile has disappeared. You mark my word, Hermie. Within 5 years, corporations, even countries, will fall to these creatures, and the worst part is nobody will care. Oh, people will tut-tut about it. There may be a protest or two, but nobody will actually do anything to stop them. The immortal, all-powerful, utterly pitiless reptiles will seize more and more of our power, wealth, and territory, and we foolish, short-sighted mortals will never get it back. Green Winters chuckles uncomfortably, raises his hands in the air in a supplicating gesture. Come on now, Adrian. Vauclair talks over his brother's interruption. We could solve the problem, of course, but we as a species are unwilling to invest our energy into problems that aren't staring us right in the face. As it was with climate change, so it is with dragons. I've accepted that, but you can't task me to stop caring about it. Winter shakes his head. You're hopeless, Adrian. Fine, by all means, keep caring. Just keep your conspiracies to yourself. I'm telling you this for your own sake. Vauclair sighs. He looks incredibly tired. Yes, Hermie, you're right, of course. I mustn't jeopardize my credibility with the masses. Winter's expression turns serious. His voice lowers. It's not just your credibility that I'm worried about. Talk is talk, but sometimes... He pauses, shakes his head. Sometimes I worry that you're really gonna go back to the socks. Vauclair's tone softens again. Hermie, Winters cuts his brother off. A new intensity burns in his voice. Please, big brother, just drop all of this. Stop hunting the Firewing and start living your life again. If you won't do it for yourself, then for Christ's sake, do it for me. Vauclair nods, then looks away from the screen. All right, Hermie, I'll try. The image cuts to static, and you find yourself back at the menu screen. Please say 4. Meet and mate, singles dating profile, no orcs and no trolls. Sorry, ladies. Well... Alright, let's talk to Amsel. No? Okay. As you step forward, the rest of your team falls silent. Amsel shifts his attention to you. You can see the worry on his face. Aphra, I have new information. I'm afraid that the news isn't good. Yeah, I can tell. You gathered the whole team. He nods. Yes, this is something that you all need to hear. Well, go on. We're listening. 2 years ago, a large shipment of a highly lethal radioactive bioweapon disappeared en route to a storage facility in Dresden. The weapon was designated X-15. I have traced the path of the missing shipment. It was delivered to Harfield Manor. Well, that sounds... horrible. It is. I've heard of this stuff before. Back in the service, we called it Doom. I've never run across it in the wild, but I've heard enough horror stories to know that I don't want to. The stories that you've heard are correct. This Doom is an extremely dangerous substance. He gestures at a technical document on his computer's display. I've been reading up. To this day, the story of Doom remains a cautionary tale in modern biotech circles. Monoclonal antibody technology is strictly regulated now, and this substance is one of the reasons why. What does this stuff do, exactly? Amsel clears his throat and reads aloud from the information on his screen. Doom kills by destroying a host muscle tissue via radioactive decay. Each individual Doom antibody is bound to a radioactive bismuth-212 isotope. When introduced into a host, these antibodies bind to surface-level muscle tissue. The tissue is then killed with alpha radiation. This process repeats itself until the host wastes away and dies. Jesus. Iger nods grimly. I've heard that Doom was deployed in a couple border skirmishes back in 41. After seeing what it did to people up close, the UCAS passed a unilateral ban on the stuff. If that doesn't tell you how bad it is, nothing will. Okay, so I hesitate to ask, but what would a dragon want with this Drek? Nothing good. That goes without saying. This development worries me, Aether. It worries me greatly. If the dragon is stockpiling bioweapons, we've got an even bigger problem than we thought on our hands. There is a moment of silence, then Daetrich speaks up. Well, in my book, this doesn't change anything. I mean, it ups the stakes if Firewing is allowed to carry out her plans, whatever those might be, but we're going to stop her before that happens. That was always the plan. As far as I'm concerned, it's still the plan now. I'd agree with Daetrich. We need to focus on what's in front of us. Whatever the dragon's larger plans might be, the fact is that she's after us. We shouldn't let ourselves get distracted by anything else. Amsel is slow to respond. Finally, he nods. Yes, I concur. For the time being, we must continue forward, and that means that you must continue working toward raising Alice's fee. I'll leave the matter in your capable hands, Aether. When you've acquired the necessary funds and are ready to head back out to the rabbit hole, let me know. From there, we will discuss our next steps. Iger nods. Good. If you need me, I'll be getting prepped for the next run. Right behind you, love. Daetrich casts a backward glance at Glory. If any of this had any impact on her, she doesn't show it. Come on, Glory, let's go. God, the game, for some reason, when I'm loading and then like when it saves or if I have to do anything like, I don't know, more substantial than just wandering around, it's been freezing up a lot. I'm not sure why. I don't think it's an issue of having like too many recordings blocking things up because the game is kept on a different drive. Let's talk to Daetrich. What you need, boss? Back when we took on Humanus, you said that you fought in the Night of Rage. I'd like to hear more about that. He nods, then fishes in his jacket pocket for his flask. Alright, boss, we can talk about it. So I already mentioned that Berlin's punks and anarchists joined forces to fight off the racists, right? After a long bloody fight, we beat them. What I didn't mention is how I figured into all this. I'm an anarchist at heart, always have been, but at the time, I fit squarely into the punk camp. I was 32 at the time. Camp was still touring, not as much as we did when we were kids, but we had a following. I guess I was sort of an elder statesman for the scene. When we rallied to fight the racists, my followers came along for the ride. A bunch of young kids, all full of piss and vinegar and the immortality of youth. I was full of that good old Dragon Slayer spirit, pissed off and itching for a fight, and so I led those kids into the fray. They waded into the riot alongside me, yelling and screaming with their fists in the air. I don't remember a whole lot of the fight itself, boss, but I do remember the aftermath. A lot of the kids that had followed me had grown up listening to my music. They had all of my attitude, Aether, but none of them had my magic, and youthful enthusiasm is no defense against a knife or a handgun. I left the punk scene for all the reasons I told you, boss, but there was a bigger reason, and I saw it in those kids' broken bodies. This road that I'm on, it leads to the grave. I've got the power to make it a leisurely trip, but make no mistake, that is where I'm headed. Those kids try to follow my footsteps, and they wound up sprinting ahead of me instead. Better for me to stay out of the public eye and stick to the shadows. My stint as a role model was ill-advised. You have any thoughts about what I said earlier? Yes, boss, I have. It's an interesting idea, but there are risks. I'm thinking that this might not be the best of times to approach him about it. He's the source of my magic, remember? If our discussion turned into an argument, he could take all that magic back in a heartbeat, and then where would I be? From what you've told me about the Dragon Slayer, I don't think he'd like the way you're talking. Since when has he ever encouraged you to back down from a fight? You've got a point there, boss. He wouldn't want me to back down ever, not even from him. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'll ask the Dragon Slayer about shifting priorities, I guess you'd say. Taking on some deserving organization and calling off the hunt for something more impressive than Firewing. Of course, a fight like that would never really end. I'm never going to bring down a corp or a polyglub all by my lonesome. He shrugs. But maybe that's not a bad thing. It'd take a lot of the guesswork out of life. I don't know, boss. If you have any thoughts about this, I'd love to hear them. You've already done some damage to Humanus. How about them? Could they be your new white whale after we're done with all of this? Tempting, but like you said, I've already kicked the holy hell out of them. Twice. If I'm gonna do this, it needs to be a step forward. The Dragon Slayer won't be satisfied with me retreading old ground. Well then why tie yourself to a specific group? I say, keep it fluid. Stomp anyone that threatens the flux. Isn't that what Berlin is all about? He cocks his head. Interesting. That's a different approach, but I like it. Hang on a second, I'll ask. He closes his eyes and concentrates. Minutes pass. Slowly, a smile creeps across his face. Dietrich opens his eyes and turns to face you. Yeah, I think he'd like this plan just fine. That was it. That was all it took. The Dragon Slayer doesn't mince words, boss. If he didn't like the plan, he'd have told me. Dietrich grins widens. He looks more at ease than you've ever seen him. Well, boss, I've got myself a plan and a new target to boot. That's assuming, of course, that any of us make it through our current predicament alive. You know, Dietrich, now that you've got a handle on your connection with the Dragon Slayer, you could probably reach out to your old community again. Berlin's punks could benefit from your experience. He nods. Yeah, boss, I was thinking the same thing. Maybe I could give back a bit and fix some of the damage I caused in my misspent youth. After I finish dealing with the crisis that's in front of us, that is. It's a good thought anyway, and I'll keep it in mind. So, do you have any thoughts about that last run you'd like to share? There's nothing about that run that didn't disgust me. What they did to that troll, he shudders. It wasn't right, boss, on any level. I don't care what anyone else tells you. You listen to me, Aifert. What you did, killing that thing, it was the right call. Yeah, it cost us some new yen, but letting that thing live would have been a travesty. I mean, I didn't kill it. It killed itself. Hey, Iger, how's it going? Iger glances up from her PDA at the sound of your approach. Eifer, this isn't the best of times. Her body language is self-assured, but you can hear the anxiety in her voice. Something has her worried in a big way. Talk to me, Iger. If something's put you on edge, I want to know what it is. There's a long pause. Finally, she turns her PDA so that you can look at the screen. This. The image that greets you is a holopic of a rail-thin orc with jet black hair. Who am I looking at? His name is Yuli Kozlov, but he's better known by his handle, the Engineer. He's a mercenary, ex-Spetsnaz, one of the best in his field. I ran against him in my KSK days. Tell me more. His specialties are social engineering and wet work. In practice, he spends most of his time paving the way for organized crime syndicates to seize new territory. He sets up bribes, takes out key members of the opposition, and forges alliances with existing street gangs. All of the groundwork that a syndicate needs. He's extremely bad news, Afer. And my contact spotted him in Schattenest. That's a little too close to the cruise bazaar for comfort. Exactly. I've seen what the Engineer can do up close. My KSK unit tracked him a few years ago. I had him in the sights of my rifle, but I was ordered to hold fire. We couldn't afford to give away our position. To this day, I regret obeying that order. I saw what happened to the town that he was softening up after the syndicate moved in. Afer, I have to stop him before it's too late. What happened to that town? It can't be allowed to happen again in Schattenest. Agreed. Do you know who he's working for now? The safest bit would be for Russia's syndicate, but there's no telling. His client list is longer than you'd expect. Do you have any examples? Well, I know for a fact that he's worked for mafia groups operating inside and outside of Russia, and he put in a lot of time with Lobachevsky syndicate. He's taken contracts with the Triads as well. My contact tells me he's even done a few jobs for Tamanus. That's a hell of a resume. Yeah, it is. She bites her lip and stares at the image on the PDA for a long moment. So long story short, I'm gonna have to step out for a mission or two. I know how important it is that we resolve the Firewing situation, I get it, but I can't sit and let this happen. She shakes her head. I won't. If the Cruise Bazaar is at risk, if this is too important a job to rest on the shoulders of one person, I'm gonna go with you, end of story. Alright, fearless leader, you're right, I could use the help. But the others, they can't know about this. This is going to have to be a quiet job, 2 people max. Are you sure prepared for this? If you can't hold up on your end, I'd be better off on my own. Don't worry about me, I'm solid. Yeah, I know you are. Grab your things and meet me at Der Venkeler. I've got a contact who's going to join us there, and he can figure out what our next step. Glory! Glory favors you with a weak smile, her expression cautious. You're suddenly aware of how very small she is. Hoi, Afer, I've got to admit, I've been dreading this. So now that you know what I've done, what I am, are you here to tell me off? I wouldn't blame you if you were. No, Glory, I'm not here to tell you off. Truth be told, I wanted to check in and see how you were doing. Not great. Struggling. About how you'd expect. We left off in a bad place last time. I've been thinking about your story and I have a question for you. Yeah? What's that? You've escaped from Harrow, but he's still out there. If you're looking to atone for your past, don't you think that shutting him down would be a good place to start? She holds her silence for a long time. Finally, she nods. Yes, I've been thinking about this for a long time, Afer, and every time that I've gotten close to making a decision, I've turned and run away. No more running. I'm ready to face this thing, but I can't do it alone. I'm gonna need your help. I'm glad that we're on the same page. Alright, if we're going to do this, we need to be clear on what our goal is. There are a lot of innocent people in that place, a lot of street kids who got sucked in by Marta and the other girls like her. Saving them won't be easy, but it feels like the right thing to do. But then there's also Harrow to consider. I want that man dead. Lord knows he deserves it, and if we don't make killing him our top priority, he might get away from us. If that happens, if he runs, he'll eventually start up another cult somewhere else where we can't find him, and all of this will have been for nothing. We're likely to run into other complications as well, so I think that we need to make a decision here up front. What would you do in my place? Rescue the kids or take down Harrow? I don't think that we can manage both. I think freeing the kids. Freeing the kids should be our first priority. We raid Fearstell, round up the runaway, and clear Harrow's influence from their mind. Killing him will have to be secondary. I hate giving Harrow the chance to escape, but you're right. Saving the kids is what importance. She pauses, considering her choice, and a smile flits across her lip. This feels like the path to redemption. This feels right. Glad to hear that we're in agreement. When you're ready to go, meet me in the van. It's a long drive from here to Schomburg. She nods. Right, I'll get my things. Oh, and thanks, Afer, for everything. Because what I really need more money. I only have 5,000. But I can't think, I'm trying to think of which job would be the easiest to do. Why is it telling me to go in there? Is it because of the raise 50,000? Oh yeah, because I could probably deposit 5k. I don't want to deposit 5k because I want to keep the money. Spend 30 years waiting for the game to save. Board the train. Alright, where do we want to go? Let's travel to the Landenberg Riggs Bank in Dragonkip. Let's clear Blitz's debt.